Dumb as a motherfucking fucktard. Dumb as a motherfucking fucktard. You are dumb as fuck. Dumb as a motherfucking
Okay, people, please. Thank you. Dick, what should the meat audio be set to? Device?
I think the sound's back.
The Meets audio speaker should be... Oh, we have the sound.
We have the sound, yes.
Okay.
We had it, and then it went again.
Okay, people, please. Thank you. Dick. Properties for meat audio. Device.
The speaker out, you want it to be VB cable A.
BAIO. A real sec. Here we go.
Okay, let's see now. And somebody said...
After he said cable A, it cut out,
look,
apparently.
It's back. It's back. There we go. That's it. So, is this the start of a show again? It looks like everybody's saying it's good. We're good now. So, you know, there was a bit of blah, blah, and this and that in the beginning, but we'll just get right to it and go around the table and see what everybody's up to. And we'll start with guy who, you know, just really filled the air there. Sarcastic Barman. What do you got going on, man?
I'm good, thanks, Dick. All nice and busy in the pub. How are you doing, mate? No one ever asked you how you're doing, so I thought I'll do that tonight.
Well, thank you. I'm doing pretty good here myself, actually. Thanks. Things are going well around the home. Plans for some very cool new stuff to do with the Shills and some of my shows are coming along very well, as you know yourself, and exciting times, you know?
Awesome. Hey, I have a question for you, Dick. Do you know what this sounds like? Did that little dingle come
cowbell?
through? No,
yeah, I heard it.
I was going through a box that had my microphones in, and I found something that had tubes on for the microphone. So we're giving that a try tonight, but I don't think it's actually made a difference. So
well,
that's fun.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out after too, because that would be a fun play. Right on.
On the plus side,
what are you
your sound sounds perfect now.
Oh, okay, good, because that was very crazy. There was a lot of issues pre-show, but I think we got through them, so we should probably press on. So, let's turn to Dead Kennedy in Space. What's going on your way, man?
I'm miserable. How are you?
Well, why miserable? What's going on?
Because in like 4.5 hours, I turned 30, and I'm having an existential crisis about it.
Well, all I can say is welcome to the club where things finally go up instead of down, you know? Yeah, you know, you get smarter, you get wiser, life experience behind you and all that. It's all pluses. Come on. It's good, you know? Get drunk, revel in it, wake up on the floor. You'll feel fine.
That's nice.
No, I kid. I'm not actually a miserable. Plus, I'm already being told, oh, you're such a kid. Yes, I know. I'm usually the oldest one around me. Where is cheering coming from?
Oh, that's the super chat sound for this show. Digital Demonic Davros throws $2 Australian into the hat. 9 a.m. here. Coffee and the Shills. Love it. Woohoo. Good shout. Oh, there was another one from as we got started, too. If I can scroll back and try to find it here. John Rapp donated Australian 5 through super chat. More smart guys. Gotta love smarty pants. Good day, everyone. Now, this is because I can only listen in while at work. Chat, go for it. I'll read it later. John, right on. Thanks, man. That's awesome. Sorry, Kevin. Go back to what's in your world.
I mean, not much. I've been slogging my way through Riley's thesis. I'm I'm working on part 3 of the video series on that now, and that'll be out relatively soon. And I'm also considering. I won't go into any detail about this on the Shills because it's not what we do, but I'm considering doing a video about the current situation in China. And I'd love to get some feedback on that. If anybody would like to see that video, let me know in the chat because I'd like to know whether or not you think it's worthwhile. There's lots of people covering it, but I'd love to give my own take on it as well.
That sounds really interesting, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. And we should turn to the most energetic little sapien you've ever known, Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey. Oi, oi, buddy.
Oi, oi, all you wonderful people. Shills, Shillites, Shillbillies, Shillersteins. How about that one? And
I like it.
I should welcome the fucking ridiculously retarded planks of wood. You know the ones? They think there's a...
Slurps?
No, look, yeah. They think there's a bowl of, like a glass bowl above our heads, them ones. Weirdos.
Oh, you mean those globe deniers?
Yeah, them ones, man. They brought us together after all. If we
So
didn't
what's
have your
going on in your
dumbass
world,
to
buddy?
laugh at, then we wouldn't be here.
Oh, that's true, man. What's going
And I
on in your
thought,
world, man?
Consider becoming a Patreon. And I'll make a globe-tard rant just for you once a month.
Hey, that's a fair trade, I bet. Right on. Scripted just for the person. That would be great. What's going on in your world, man? How are things?
Yeah, not bad. I'm going to have more time now. So I've contacted Bert Rickles. So if he's in the chat, I've not looked in the chat. Check your email. And yeah, that's about it, really. Waiting for Kevin and Spaceman. When they're ready to post me some things across, then I'll work on that one as well. So
I've been working on that.
The Columbia one. Yeah, I've been doing a bit of research. I've been a bit quiet at work, so I'm going to find more time to try and do a lot more.
Cool. Right on, man. Right on. And I think it's time to run over to Cave Town and see what Logical Troglodyte's doing. How's it going, man?
Oh, my God, you would not believe it. I just feel so overwhelmed. There is so much stupid out there in cyberspace. It's almost hard to know where to turn because one just does not grab just any single stupid. We have to grab the most special stupid we can find.
You are very correct there, man. And whoa, do we ever, when we're passing videos around in the background back and forth for the show, we have found some unbelievable doozies lately. Holy.
Well, that dude that we done last week that I did, that video, he says nothing.
No, that was terrible. That was terrible. And I know Logic has been beating his head on the wall hard with a few submissions that came through. Ouch, man.
Oh, yeah, I have to buy spackle and, buy the 5-gallon bucket worth for all that. But it's been like a tsunami of stupid this past week. I was in Anthony Riley's live chat with 4 supposed degreed college graduates discussing flat Earth. And I was like, no, you just wrong. You just can't stop. And it just kept going on and on and on and on. It's like, geez.
Did you see Thompson's video live stream? I think it might have been today. It was just him on the hammers again with 7 people watching. How many subs has he got?
Too damn many.
Too many.
Like 10K or something? 7 people watching, 10,000 subs almost. I'm pretty sure it's like 9 point something.
Ouch, that's insane. That's just too much insanity in the world. People need protection and they need help. Let's see what Aimee Hogan's doing this week. Aimee, how's it going over your way?
It's going good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, things are great here. Mentioning all the stupid vids. I know you're always surfing and stuff. It's crazy right now. It seems that on the fringes, there's a brand new attack coming in. It's nuts.
It is nuts, and it's all new. Seems like all new conspiracy theories, and they're just doubling down. And well, I hope to see what they've got tonight.
Oh,
It'll be
I wouldn't
interesting.
imagine. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 weeks we're discussing why toothbrushes are also a conspiracy. It's crazy. Yeah, so for everybody, Amy's in with the Shills tonight, doing the Shills chat and stuff too. So at the Shills, and she'll get your questions and comments in, and we'll be rocking there. And Tattie-Bogle, our producer, how's it going, man? What do you think about the stupid in the world today?
The stupid in the world today starts and stops with this bloody computer. I tell you what, man. If it doesn't behave itself, it's just going to get a couple of them.
What we have to do is write a letter to Microsoft and say, look, if you don't stop with the updates that bork things, we're coming for you with pitchforks because it's getting out of hand.
Sharp and bloody pitchforks at that, mate, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah. So you ready for a good one? Now we're all rocking?
Oh, yeah, let's get this roll on the show, man.
Awesome. And sitting in with us tonight, excellent, fantastic guest with more brains than most people wish they could ever remember in their life. We've got Mike Bertelson. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Good to be back on.
All right, yeah. Thanks for coming back, and we've got some good topics to bring up, and then we've got an extra special little dose of stupid in the form of a great video we thought you would just love to attack with us. So, well, let's have some fun. Let's do this.
Cool.
All right, so I know DeadKennedyInSpace and Logical Troglodyte and myself have all come in with a few things they wanted to bring up, but I'd like to turn to our guest first. Any place you'd like to start tonight, Mike?
Not in particular. Just figured we'll just free flow for now and see where we go with this.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Now, we will lead into some engineering afterwards of the ancient kind.
Cool.
And we all know, some of the standard arguments and stuff. So, when you hear things like, with brass tools, you could never do that. I mean, I'm sure yourself know they damn well could, right?
Oh, absolutely, it could. You have to rework that tool over and over again much more than you would with steel, but it's still doable.
Yeah, it takes a little bit more effort in the form of, maybe you even have like a support team where you just hand off the tool and they pass it around and get it ready and pass it back into play. But that's not insurmountable in any way, is it?
No, not at all. I have to believe that a lot of quote ancient engineering work that way. I mean, you work with what you got, and
exactly
there isn't anything out there that you couldn't do with the tools at hand.
Exactly, and this is the perfect pause to introduce somebody who just joined us a little late, but we don't mind at all because we're just hanging in the pub. Blue Marble Science is in the bar with us. How are you, man? It's good to see you.
Oi, oi.
Great, guys. How you guys doing? Good to be here.
Oh, good. Yeah, we were just opening up into a little bit about like ancient engineering and all the BS that goes along with certain TV shows and their big claims. But first things, how are you? What's going on your way?
Oh, just watching more silliness from the flat Earth side of life. I thought Quantum Eraser was going to explode today on Nathan's show.
Oh, I'll have to check that out after then. That sounds good.
I don't think that boy's got enough fiber in his diet or something. I'm
not a little bound up and has a tendency to burst.
Seems to be a little tight. Yep.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, we were. I got Dead Kennedy. Come on in, man.
I just wanted to ask a quick question to Blue Marble Science. Are you aware by any chance that your avatar is the one image of Earth in which they actually did say it's Photoshopped because it has to be?
Yeah, I am.
All right, I thought so.
I
I assumed that was maybe on purpose because it's a wonderful picture and in no way is it fake, but it does in fact have editing elements to it, and I find that amusing.
Yeah, that's the one. That's one of that image I believe was made by a polar orbiting satellite, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah.
And they have to take those strips. You know, you're cutting a strip through the earth as you go around and around, and they've got to take that stuff and stitch it together, and of course, you got to Photoshop it, but it's made. It's a bunch of images put together, real images put together.
I took an image just like that earlier this week, a panorama of my view at work. Like, in order to make a panorama, it has to be several images composited, but it doesn't make it fake.
No, nothing fake about it.
No, and you love how they say, oh, it's CGI or Photoshopped, where in this day and age, some of the most basic camera apps can handle the job. Like, they try to make it sound like it's special, but it's nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, my
John, sorry, guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Mike. 1 sec here. John Stock just super chatted $5 Australian. Some Aussie shillings. My shout out at the pub. All right, John. Awesome.
Awesome, man. I'll have a double JD.
I can envision him right now sitting at the bar, with his phone, checking out the show. Oh, it's such a happy vision. I love it. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
I was saying my camera came with software just to stitch pictures together. You take several pictures and make a big one, and that's the difference between fake and photoshopped.
Yeah, exactly, right. That's and it's one of those buzzwords they use though, and in their little community, that means this was basically airbrush drawn, and I'm surprised they don't use that term, even though I haven't seen anybody use an actual airbrush in a long time.
Well, now you've given them the idea.
Well, I've heard them say airbrush. Have you heard them say? I really love this conspiracy theory. They'll say that they airbrush things out of the images from Mars because they're hiding things on Mars.
Yeah, or I heard one where they purposely dumb down the photo to make it more pixelated, and they blur out objects on purpose so that we can't see that little pyramid city that's all ancient and whatnot. Or I saw this photo presentation of this crap, and all you see is the natural way that Earth seems to fall and create peaks. What do we? Oh yeah, right, mountains. That's what they're called. Jesus Christ.
Well, I love that idea that they actually lower the resolution. Like, does anyone know the original resolution of the 72 blue marble? It's 13,000 by 13,000.
Wow, that's pretty good, especially for that time and technology.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I was expecting you to say like 800 by 600.
I don't think a lot of conspiracy theorists realize that most of NASA's pictures are in high resolution up on their website, so they could download the raw pictures if they wanted to. No one seems to do that though.
Right. There was a super chat just come in. Does anybody else on the team want to jump in there?
Snark says have some shillings. €2. Cheers, pal.
Thanks, man.
Oh, love the Snark, man. Great guest too,
Snark's
absolutely.
Awesome.
So, Logical, I'm surprised you're not already in on this one here. Is Cave Town too busy?
No, I always enjoy listening to Mike the Engineer and Blue Marble talk about stuff, and I stand in awe of their expertise.
And the way they come across, in layman's terms, it's very understandable, and the voice is just perfect, like Sunday afternoon television.
I like their old shucks sort of attitude about it when they start talking about all this stuff.
You're right. It's there. That's true. Good point. I like it. So, I like that very much.
Great couple of pair to just rock up at the pub.
Oh yeah. Now, how about we touch on the way that eye level is misconstrued sometimes in the flat Earth community. Blue, you got any on that one?
Somebody sent me one of the funniest remarks I've had on my channel in a long time, and they said that basically they said I was wrong. The ocean actually does rise to your eye level, which is why it's really dangerous to stand in the ocean next to a tall person.
Oh man.
That's a good
So
one.
in other words, if a basketball team hit the beach in Miami, we've got 3,000 dead inside of 5 minutes.
Oh hell yeah. That's gonna hit the news for sure, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Like
what they don't realize, and just stop and think about it, a 6-foot person looking at a horizon that's roughly 3 miles away only needs to look down about 0.04 degrees from his eye level of 6 feet to see that horizon.
right.
That is such a slight amount. That explains the optical illusion that the horizon is rising. It is not. It's right where it always was. But the angle to it is very, very acute.
Yeah.
Right. They, I saw a thing recently where somebody was spewing off because they were in a plane and the horizon was still at eye level in the picture out the cockpit. That shows that, you know, there's no change, there's no difference. And yet all that shows is that as you go up, you can see further around the curve, keeping the horizon at eye level. I mean, they actually just proved the globe.
Yeah, 6020 has a couple of good videos on that. He even shows the head-up display, which shows the actual horizon and how the visible horizon is way below that. And people still deny it.
What I love is when the flurfs are trying to take pictures of the so-called horizon rises to eye level, they're doing it on the worst atmospheric conditions generally. A lot of humidity, a lot of overcast, you know, it makes it really hard to pick out. So why can't you pick the proper viewing days for this sort of thing and run a real experiment? Because, you know, like Tommy Grunvold in our chat has done on his channel, it's actually the horizon is a degree or two below actual eye level. But they will never get this because that destroys one of their biggest talking points.
Yeah,
exactly.
Do you know, the first time as a kid that I ever see the curvature at play, my dad showed me. He lived in a place, Bournemouth, where there's a big head, and we used to look at boats through the binoculars, and then he took me up the head as we was watching this boat, and like you could see more of the boat, and he said that's because we can see further, and that's the first time, I think I was about 13, 14. It's the first time it sort of like really hit me, you know, that, oh, wow, there it is.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
And it's like, there's no way anything these absolute fucking morons can say that is going to fucking change my mind. I've seen it and I understand it. It's simple.
Speaking of understand, oh yeah, go ahead, Mike. I was just turning to you.
Yeah, it was. You know, I want to see some of these globe deniers to actually go out and try this rising eye level, but have some real elevation for what you're looking at. You know, don't do it from the beach or from the roadside next to the beach. Go up a couple thousand feet and see what happens. They don't see anybody doing that.
No, not even close. And let's turn to Aimee and see what's going on in the chat.
Hey, yeah, thank you. I've got some good comments going on here tonight. Ugly German Truth says the Shills, apropos unsubbing, somebody just mentioned it. Any update on the unsub PW project? Where's Wally had suggested this week? Have you all heard about it? Thoughts? And then Ash Scott says 80-ton block in a pyramid. Humans can't move that much weight using ropes. 1,250-ton rock dragged to St. Petersburg in front of thousands of witnesses in the 1700s. But that's different. Gary IOW says, Blue Marble Science, I really enjoy your content. It's always concise and on point. Don't stop. And then Unpaid Shills said at 36,000 feet, the declination is 3.36%.
I like it. Awesome. We always get such great comments and questions. It's absolutely fantastic. There was a couple of voices. Yeah, I heard a couple of voices there. Who wanted in?
I was going to say the whole thing about dragging big rocks. You know, if you have enough manpower and enough time, it's easily doable. Just a little planning and enough people, and you can move the biggest rock however far you need to move it.
Yeah.
Engineering for something like that is not at all that difficult.
Yeah, especially if those people think their heads are going to get whacked off if they don't drag that rock. So,
well, there's that.
Yeah, there's
That's
some
a good
incentive there.
point. Exactly. Barman, you're up.
Well, I was going to say there was a program on the BBC probably going back 15, 16 years ago now, and they recreated basically Stonehenge, moving the giant stones where they think they were dug up from, dragging them along the ground, up rivers, over hills, valleys, the whole works, and showed, and they only used 15 people to move the really big ones. So if you've got an entire community going, yes, we're going to build this thing, then it's fucking doable. It's not a joke or anything.
But also,
These
not
people
only
don't
that,
think
they
together.
actually used to make temporary canals and stuff, didn't they, to move things as well?
Well, I think that's with the pyramids that when it was high, the flood season in Egypt, the water used to come from up to almost a couple of 100 feet just below the pyramid, so they didn't even have to drag
That's
it along
right.
with sand. And if you wet the sand, it makes it a lot easier to drag them than on dry sand. But if you make it too wet,
All you got to do is understand leverage and buoyancy.
There you go.
Float and move something anywhere.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
built the boats and everything,
Hold on.
didn't they, and put the blocks on them and floated them.
Dead Kennedy.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Well, I was going to say, what's that line about leverage? Give me a fulcrum big enough and I could move the world.
I like it.
But I wanted to acknowledge something Stuck in Florida brought up in the chat. There's like 100 people watching right now, 102, something like that. First of all, awesome. Second of all, there's only like 30 something likes. What you doing, guys? What's going on here? What is this heresy?
We're shit, obviously.
they're doing it at 30 for a special reason, Dead Kennedy.
It has no significance to anything. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, now the numbers go up.
FE Core is hacking us, man. It's FE Core.
Yeah, like they have the ability and technology to do that.
I like to think
No
that they're
doubt.
so engaged in the conversation, they don't want to leave the live chat in order to hit the button.
There you go. I like that very much. So what are some of the other ancient technology myths and fables that everybody thinks are good and laughable? You know, what should we get on the table here?
Anunnaki.
Oh, God, that's a good one. What's that moron that did the supposed translation and turned it into an ancient aliens theory?
Is that David Icke?
No, Zachariah Sitchin. That's his name, Zachariah Sitchin, or something really close to that. And he's the one that started it all. He's kind of like a Daniken kind of guy, but older, I think, right? But Anunnaki, yeah, take it logical. That's a good one.
Oh, what I love about that whole thing is that, you know, the presupposition that Homo sapiens aren't intelligent enough to figure out basic things on their own. And we have to have either gods or aliens giving us a leg up because we are just ducking monkeys scratching our asses, right?
I know, and when you look at the technology we create, like ourselves, which it can't be God-given, like the silicon chip, that's all right, yeah? But we can't solve these simple problems as big as they are.
Well, in ancient engineering, there's a channel that has a good video on precision. And they talk about the origins of precision, about how we precisely do things. They talk about a flat surface. And they explain how with 3 slabs of granite, that's all you need. And you can make a perfectly flat surface with 3 slabs of granite. And once we figured that out, and that was actually not that difficult to do, making everything else off of that flat surface became more and more precise with just some rocks. You know, ancient engineering, I don't know if it's ancient or not, but it is not the, I don't know, mystery that everyone thinks it is.
Right. I hate to bring this one up because if there's any flat earthers in the chat, they're going to jump all over this. But just the way the Egyptians used water to do a nice leveling job for the pyramids and whatnot. Oh, God, here it comes.
You did it. You said water and level in the same sentence. You know what that means?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
You know that's going to go viral amongst the globe denial community.
Oh, I'll go sit in the corner like an absolute fuck. Sorry, I'll be right
Dog,
back.
they're going to do songs with it and everything, mate. That's it now. You are fucked, pal.
But, you know, some very, very simple techniques can be employed to achieve some very spectacular results if you know what you're doing. Right, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, they talk about all this ancient stuff and how they did things, but I also think that there were centuries to figure this stuff out. A couple of smart guys and a couple of centuries, and you can figure out how to do a whole lot of stuff that would seem like magic to other people, especially flirts.
Everything's magic.
I love it.
Their entire fantasy world's magic, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite
And,
ones are the ones. Oh, go on, Dick.
Oh, I was just looking for somebody else to take it away, barman.
I was just going to say, my favorite one for the ones where they go, it must be ancient aliens or something, is the giant pictographs in the sand where people have walked the same route. And I'm sure if you had a piece of paper, something to write on that paper, draw the shape and go, well, yeah, if you walk that far, then that way, then this way, that's going to make the rough shape for the gods we think live in the sky. Yeah, that'll be fine. That is not a difficult thing to do, to walk in a bloody pattern, but apparently you need to be able to be in the sky to be able to know you're walking in a pattern. Why? You can just plot it out. Do these people not know how to read a freaking map?
Yeah, well,
Let's go
all
to
of those
Edinburgh.
guys out there who faked all those crop circles. I mean, some of those are huge. I know I did it with sticks and rope, and that was it. And they're very intricate patterns too. It's all you got to do is just think about it, draw a couple of square grids, and figure out where you need to go from there.
Yeah,
Do you know, the thing is, you bring up crop circles, right? Have you noticed how they started off as just circles, now more complex? What? The aliens weren't good enough the first time, so they've had to come and get better ones. I mean, how...
I know, like a child, a couple of teenagers with their little brother's spirograph set could sit down and go, hey, wait a minute. If we just take a few sticks and a few boards with string and some long pieces of string so we get our arcs right, we could do this in spades. And that's all. Like, literally, it takes no technology. None at all. Dead Kennedy.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think you jumped to me so suddenly. This is a little off topic. Andreas Eld asked the Shills. He said, I hope Phuket Word did not disqualify himself from Dumb Fuck of the Year award when he recently snapped near a pool at sunset. Does anyone know what that's about? Did Phuket have like a breakdown?
Oh,
I've not seen that one.
He's been melting down quite a bit lately because he's getting so frustrated with being debunked, not only by Wolf 6020 and the rest of the Wolf Pack, but by a lot of the globeheads, as he calls them, coming into his live chats and telling him why he's wrong. He's pulling what little hair he has left out because he's so frustrated.
This is awesome. I gotta check up on his channel.
His most recent video. Go on, Dick.
Yeah, he's blocked me on two accounts now.
He's having a prat. Like, he's literally just, dropping the plot entirely here. It's hilarious. I'm predicting full-on Gigantor meltdown in another 30 days. Absolutely. And, on an upcoming poker show, maybe we can take bets, eh, barman?
I'm sure we could, yes.
Is that,
would be some
that video?
good stuff.
That video, is that the one where he looks ill?
That's all.
What, you mean everything he's put out in the last couple of years?
No, I just pulled it up. Monkey's right.
His video is a bit weird. Huh?
I was just gonna say I tried to pull it up here. I think I have the right one. He does look bad. He looks like he looks like he's just left the hospital temporarily to have a smoke or something.
Yes. Yeah. Like yeah.
Oh wow, he really does look Not good.
I mean, is
Well,
that like
I may not
caning
like
it
Flurkers,
hard?
but I hope he's okay.
Hey, Big Blue, have you heard any of this, big meltdown stuff? Have you seen any of it?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that the other day. I guess you could say it's entertaining. It's really pretty sad. It's almost scary. You ought to watch the stream.
Yeah, man.
Phuket is not right.
Yeah, just like that other guy with the wife yelling. He's a meth head and stuff. There's a real breakdown going on. These guys are showing too much of their personal lives. It's not going to work out well for them.
Yeah, he was at his kid's school or something. That's where he was. Oh yeah, he just losing his shit.
I mean, we shouldn't know about this.
Morgile, Demonic Davros. Yes, that's who I'm talking about. Thanks, buddy. Right on. Oh,
That one
too
made me
funny.
laugh so much.
Oh, man. Yeah, that guy is just properly off the rails, though. And I don't think he actually has any actual mental problems, although, logic could enlighten me if I'm wrong. He does it all the time.
But think the world's flat.
But yeah, I think it's induced by what his wife is accusing him of, because he does look like the type of guy who hasn't slept for a week and just doesn't know any better than to leave the phone away and just don't go near YouTube. Amy's got some stuff from the chat. Aimee.
I do. I have some great comments here. Ash Scott said the Romans dragged obelisks weighing up to 1,000 tons all the way from Egypt to Rome. Once you get out of Egypt, it's easy because you don't have to worry about pickpockets and thieving taxi drivers. And then Unpaid Shills says the Egyptians also used water to lubricate the sledges used to drag those heavy stones. My Pet 69 says the Nile has moved. It used to run right past the pyramids. And then Mr. Victory says, has anyone seen the dude that live streams of Moon and Mars anomalies and calls them dragons, but just birds flying in front of the camera? And then Ash Scott says, there are only two reasons a white guy moves to Thailand, and Phuket word isn't training to fight Tong Po, so that kind of narrows it down. And Digital Demonic Davros says PW has got what looks like jaundice.
Oh, that's a good one. All right. Oh, we have the best viewers, man. Come on, that's gold. You guys are awesome. I love it. Oh, now who should we pick on? Oh, here we do have. No, I won't do it. Who should we pick on next here? In the community, who's been going? Oh, how about this? Who's got a theory on why Scotty Storm all of a sudden hid all his content, but was too stupid to do it properly? Because what he did was he left all his featured channels up, so it still says Globe Busters and Jeranism and all that on the featured channels, right? And if you go to YouTube and just type in Scotty Storm, all the people that have torn him in half, it's all still up there. So he just failed miserably. But my bet is he hit it all because he's trying to get a job. Who wants next?
I was going to say the same thing.
I think he hit it because his mom and dad threatened to kick him out of the basement if he continued to drag their name into the flat earth.
Yeah.
No, personally, I think he's taken so much amphetamine that he's got paranoid and just tried to switch it all off.
That's a good one. He's probably hiding in his bathroom right now, shivering in the bathtub, thinking they're coming to get him for exposing the truth.
Exactly. Yeah. With no
clue.
I saw on. I'm sorry,
Mike. Yeah.
No, you go, mate.
I saw on Conspiracy Cast's latest video. He was talking about how Mr. Cheswick has denied he's no longer a flat earther. He's
yes. That's what I was going to bring up. Yeah, he's.
I went to his channel. He does have one video now, and if you watch the video, he's still a conspiracy nutjob, though. I don't know.
Well, that's. Yeah, the leaf doesn't fall from the tree, right? His belief might change, but it's still going to be the same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I get the impression he's playing possum.
Oh, that's interesting. He might even try to be an infiltration. Sorry, we left Dead Kennedy waiting. Dead Kennedy, you're up, buddy.
Oh, no worries. It was back on Scotty Storm. just the fact that that all of the videos debunking him are still up. I find that funny because if he is looking for a job and they search up his name, all they're going to find is this guy's an idiot.
Yeah. Right? He can't win. Once he entered the ring, it was over, right? It was over.
Well, Scotty's real problem is that he didn't have a mandate from God like Daniel did.
And speaking of Daniel, Daniel Pratt, his big switch into being a little bit more religious focused. I don't know if it's a big switch, right? But any thoughts on from the panel on that one?
Oh, he's just searching for a new audience because he saw his viewership dropping with the flat Earth, so he decided to go with the political conspiracies. Definitely.
I think you hit it right there, because anytime you see one of these guys that like a Pratt or somebody, and they switch their focus a bit, you can usually tie it directly to the view counts falling if you look through their video history. Always happens. They're just retooling, trying to find a way to draw it in again, you know? I would say, judging by the look of the buildings, he should go with Jehovah's Witness teachings, because they seem to be wealthy.
Yeah. When you got 2,000 subs and you're only getting a couple of hundred views per video, you're not doing something right.
Right. And I think, judging by him, it's, fixing up that room. I mean, how long have we seen the drywall, mud, and tape? I don't even think it's been sanded.
Oh my God, man. That is next day work. What are you doing?
I know, right? It's sad. Now, we were going good on the engineering there. Blue, anything when it comes to the ancient alien style, oh, they could never do that always kind of rubs you wrong when you hear it?
Yeah, everything about that rubs me wrong when I hear it. I haven't found any part of it that rubs me right, Dick.
I got to agree there. It is rough, isn't it?
I just want to know why those guys don't come visit us anymore. I mean, what the hell happened? Did they lose their directions, or GPS quit or something? I don't know.
They got the flat Earth videos and thought, we ain't freaking going back there if they think the planet's flat. We've been visiting for the last 5,000 years.
Yes, no point in messing with these fucking idiots.
There's a great theory in there. I love the idea of them showing up, granting us amazing technology, and then leaving, and then they're like watching from afar for like 2,000 years, and then right now they're watching and going, well, an increasing number of them think the planet's flat. Fuck these people, we're out.
No doubt, yeah. Once Daniel Pratt opened his channel, that's when they fired up the engines, man. That was it.
They waited for 2,000 years, and they sent one nitwit to Roswell who couldn't figure out how to land the goddamn thing.
That was the drunk stag do.
I don't know, man. If I was an alien captaining a ship and I was watching what was going on this planet right now with our tentative steps out into space, I think, looking at when I saw the transmissions from the flat earthers and other conspiracy theorists, I would be very tempted to sterilize the planet. At least they make it off.
Oh, that's funny.
Screw this. Nuke it from orbit.
Yeah. For every Scotty Storm in the world, we just negated the wealth of knowledge that 1 million people has provided. And as such, we're losing badly. That's probably the ratio they would take it at, right? Terrible. The one I find funny with the whole aliens is, let's turn to abduction for a minute. I know, yawn, but imagine these people who have developed spaceships that within their own generation can just zoom from planet to planet and do all kinds of craziness and whatnot, right? And so they boom down to Earth and they go, oh, primitive society. Maybe we can learn about, what it was like for us when we were at that primitive time. And what do? They mutilate cows and stick probes up people's butts. I'm sorry. They can conquer time and space, but they don't have any better medical technology than somebody from 1954. What the hell's going on? You know, then why the fuck are they mutilating the cows? God damn it, man!
Yeah.
Don't they know how good they taste? You got it all wrong, man. You're getting all the wrong parts. You're supposed to take the big good stuff, throw it on the grill, yum. Crack a cold one, you'll be just fine, little green man. Shit, who taught these guys? They have terrible parents.
Actually, I had a client one time when I was still working who claimed to have been abducted by aliens. And as we talked, I kind of developed an idea of what was going on. So I sent him for a sleep study. And it turned out that he had a type of sleep apnea to where he was sort of awake, but not completely awake. So the REM sleep paralysis that takes over your body when you're dreaming, so you don't hurt yourself, was actually in place. So, you know, he was aware of the surroundings in his house. The dream was still happening and his body was still in that sleep paralysis. And all that combined to create this illusion in his head of being abducted by aliens.
Wow.
I like that. That's really wild. Excellent story. Fantastic. Any thoughts on that from the tail or from the bar?
Ooh, nothing probably polite to put in conversation of. Yeah, all right, he's having this sleep paralysis, which is a bit worrying. But where's the bum stuff come from? That's quite scary.
Exactly. I just want to know why it's always an alien proctologist that abducts people. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and why does the alien proctologist seem to be the number one job within the aliens? They must have a lot of them because that's all they do. We should turn to Aimee. She's got some stuff from our absolutely cool viewers. Aimee, how's it going?
It's going good. I've got a good one from Digital Demonic Davros. He says Neil deGrasse Tyson has asked abduction people to pinch stuff while being probed. And Harry Warp says, I've heard the parts removed in cattle mutilation are the parts that absorb radiation the most. So we've got some good ones.
Yeah, I ran across
right on.
a couple of years ago too, where they were testing this idea about the cow mutilation, and they slaughtered a couple of cows and left them out in the field for a couple of days. And what do you know? As they started decomposing, their bellies started to expand with the gases and eventually kapoofied. And it had the same look to it as the so-called alien mutilations.
Wonder that, eh? An actual natural cause? No, couldn't be. Reasons.
There are no reasons.
Do you know, in my job, quite often, like when my, this channel or what I do is brought up, for those of you that don't know, I'm a barber, a monkey that cuts hair. How the fuck would you wouldn't imagine it, would you? But then there you go. I'm not a polar bear. But and the amount of people that actually do believe in ancient aliens is shocking.
You know what's going on is it's that documentary style they put it together with also it has all the push points and sell points that they put into video that's been dramatized or whatever, America's Most Wanted reenactments used to have and whatnot. And they put those two styles together so that anybody that, basically has a grade 6 education and spends their afternoons in their underwear waiting for the government to give them another check, they love this stuff, man. They can't get enough of it. Dead Kennedy. Oh, sorry, Monk.
Yeah, I was going to answer that. The thing is, like, these people, when they're with that mindset, and it's almost like they want to believe it so much that they'll grasp on to that evidence because, that's enough for them. And, a very good friend of mine is someone who believes in ancient aliens. And trust me, he's like, I wouldn't even talk to him about it because he would be right and that'd be the end of it.
Oh, yeah, just pull a total Phuket word on you and slam you down. Dead Kennedy, sorry, buddy, you're up.
We were talking about like the way those kinds of shows are structured, and I think that's a really big part of it because, unfortunately, they're very well made. They're very cleverly made, and
Yes.
they make very good use of priming to put the audience in the right mindset, and they have all of their words chosen very carefully to make to make the possibility of aliens seem way more likely than it is. And I hate it. It's so
infuriating.
manipulative.
Yeah, and you're right. I wouldn't doubt that two of the most important people on the production team of Ancient Aliens are a psychiatrist and a psychologist, so they can maximize the effect of the editing and post-production process.
I bet that would not surprise me at all.
I can't think of any psychiatrist or psychologist who would step that far out of professional ethical boundaries to actually say okay to something like that.
Well, I discredited one that was found drinking in the bar and got a second go at life by being a slime ball instead.
And given enough money.
It could
Right?
it could be the psychiatrist that misdiagnosed me with ADD.
There you go. Hey, we should
Pete
hunt them down.
Berube's just
Find
said.
out.
Pete Berube's just said, "Ancient Aliens is a classic example of indoctrination."
Yes, it is. Well said. I like it.
Yeah,
The one I always love on the show. Oh, go on, Lodge.
I don't know if it speaks to the educational systems that we have going on today, the general psychological makeup of our society we got going on today. But I've been reading fantasy and science fiction books since I was in the 2nd or 3rd grade. And I know that Smaug is not living in the Lonely Mountain. I know that the Galactic Empire is not going to destroy the rebel base hidden in the Rockies. I can tell fantasy from fiction, but it seems that now people have a much harder time telling that, and it really concerns me.
I have a theory on that before I pass over here. My theory on that is it comes from the same people who put a post on Facebook and spend the next 45 minutes refreshing the screen to see how many likes they get. It's that self-serving, everything has to be about me, so they can latch on to an obscure theory like that and Dunning-Kruger themselves right to sleep on it. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing social media feeding the Dunning-Kruger effect and making those people have more of a voice, so then they can really latch onto this. And now Ancient Aliens, instead of being 5 episodes that one first season, is on season 14 of this filth?
But they love it. People love it. So many people watch it.
Yep, they do. And speaking of so many people, Amy's up with some comments and questions from our absolutely cool viewers.
Yes, I've got some good ones too. Unpaid Shills says a lack of volunteer aliens for proctological studies. Ascot says, why do the aliens only mutilate the parts of the cow that a fly can lay eggs in early in the decomposition process? And John Rapp says always yes. And John Rapp says always the back hole. Projection much? Sean Carroll says the Shills cattle mutilations are the work of the Zetans. You can never trust these aliens. They want to create fallout. And 1 Minute Debunk says 1 Minute Debunk says gotta send proctologists to colonize other planets. We got some good ones. Ugly German Truth says only problem with the take what you can get it will all be a proof as it's much more advanced than what we know is how do you explain all that advanced tech is sex toys. And Mr. Victory says the Shills are bored with people are bored with their lives and need a reason to change history, therefore pseudo history on the History Channel. And the BM Furball says the Shills rule of thumb while watching AA, if the sentence ends in a question mark, the response is always no. Could it have been built millions of years ago? No.
No.
And Clifford Reynolds says, I wonder if aliens have their own conspiracy theories about Earth.
Oh, now that's a good one. That's a good
I'm
one.
not
Can you
saying
imagine?
It was humans.
But it's humans.
Yeah, some little green dude wakes up in a panic in the middle of the night. Some spangly white freak was just drooling all over me with bad breath and big bulging eyes. That'd be hilarious. Was it
Another
me?
thing I think is funny about all the ancient alien crap and the pseudo history on the History Channel is that these idiots want to accuse us of appeal to authority whenever we cite NASA or some physicist writing an obscure paper about gravity or whatever, but they don't seem to understand that there's a difference between appeal to authority and deferring to authority. And what they're doing when they're saying, oh yeah, I saw it in ancient aliens, therefore it's true. That's appeal to authority.
Very, very much.
Consider the History Channel the authority.
Oh, that's a good point, though. Does anybody here remember when the History Channel was actually good?
That's what I was literally about to say. Remember when you actually got History Channel on the history?
Yeah, I used to watch.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I watched a show on History Channel. I mean, I still like Modern Marvels, and that I watch every once in a while, but that's about it.
It's quite good. Over here in the UK, we have Yesterday rather than the History Channel, and that does do loads of World War stuff. World War II stuff, giant engineering things, forgotten engineering, but then it still does have the occasional episode of Ancient Aliens. And it's like, oh God, why?
Do you know, I don't watch that much live TV anymore, apart from Match of the Day.
I have it on in the pub.
Or soccer to you over the pond.
I'm with you with that one, Jock, mate. I'm with you with that one.
You like that one? Safe
Yeah.
as fuck, innit?
Definitely, man. You gotta watch your football.
Yes, bruv. We should do a Shills football stream one night. I bet we'll get about 5% of.
If we're lucky.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's opportunity with new things and plans coming in the future for all kinds of stuff, isn't there, guys?
Absolutely.
Right? Oh yes, indeed. Oh yes, indeed. Let's see here, Mike. When we're looking back at ancient technologies and whatnot, what would you say are some, or let's say one or two of your favorite of the early discoveries and achievements in engineering?
Just say my favorites is optics, the first telescopes and that we use to start to look beyond our own planet, and for me that's a big one. And the type of Da Vinci kind of engineering where they just figure stuff out and put it all together, and it works and it's great, and it seemed like magic to most people. But like Da Vinci's one of my heroes. So.
He would have to be. I one of the big ones in my list is the camera obscura. Yeah, figuring out how light's really doing its little, trick. That's some good stuff, right?
Mm.
I like that.
The other thing is the printing presses. I think that's the other big thing that really started to expand our knowledge.
Can you imagine what the ancient Egyptian library there would have been like had they had the press?
Yeah.
Right?
Unbelievable.
Sometimes I wonder what our current state of technology would be if the Library of Alexandria didn't burn down and all that information existed. You could almost argue that part of the Dark Ages before the Renaissance was due to loss of all that knowledge.
Indeed. I think that's actually the start of a great, set of sci-fi books, the world if the library had never gone down. And speaking of the library, let's turn to our author, resident expert, Dead Kennedy in Space.
Well, Mike, you were talking about the printing press, and that made me think of the it reminded me of the influence that the printing press had in Martin Luther's work, and how how that influenced things, and it just made me think of a really old dumb Simpsons gag, where Lisa creates the civilization of germs on a tooth or something, and at one point she zooms in on it with a microscope, and one of them is nailing something to the cathedral door, and she goes, "What's going on there? I've created Lutherans." That's all I had, was just that classic Simpsons gag.
I love it. I love it, though. I love it. And the printing press, though, I mean, that's such a good one, because like all of the world's discoveries are great and fantastic and so on, but when they can be duplicated and spread and shared, then things accelerated at a much higher rate, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely they did. It's like a watershed moment in technology and in our understanding of just everything. Actually, it's amazing what happened after the printing press shows up.
Yeah. And if we want to talk about the printing press era, I would say Maxwell stepping in to do up the equations to show that Faraday was bang on point. Come on, that's a great moment, isn't it?
Okay.
Did I lose anybody?
Yeah, my microphone was off there for a second. Sorry.
Oh, no.
So I was talking and nothing was happening.
Ouch. Yeah, but that's a good one, too, because that really, really, really gave us a standard to work from.
I think the greatest piece of engineering was the irrigation and cultivation of domestic agriculture. Without that, we wouldn't have beer. And an argument can be made that because of beer, society was able to evolve from hunter-gatherer to what we have today.
Yes.
Yeah, they were too hungover to go hunting.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love beer.
But fermentation leads to drinks beside just water that can be stored and saved.
That's why everyone in ancient Greece drank wine, because they knew it was safe to drink.
Yeah.
And once you've got a stable food supply and a stable drink supply, obviously you can put more resources into expanding your knowledge, learning about things. You're not having to spend all day going hunting, picking berries and stuff like that. No, we can grow enough food in these fields to feed our civilization and have a surplus, which means other pursuits can then be followed.
Yep.
And look where we are now.
Until we discovered microorganisms and knew that boiling water actually killed them, making water safe to drink. Water was not always safe to drink.
Yeah. That's
I seem to
true.
remember reading about the villages and towns that were around the Great Pyramids, where all of the workers lived, and they found several beer recipes in all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to remember them making one of them recently too. I wish I would have got to find out what that was all about.
What baffles me is why these globe-denying morons want to go backwards.
Yeah, the whole like we were talking about earlier about Dunning-Kruger. Some of the stuff that these globe deniers come up with is just absolutely right down that pipe into crazy. And like there's this one guy I've been arguing with on the Flat Earth Society. He believes that pi is wrong, and he says
what?
Yeah, he says it's 3.15175. It's an exact number in his mind, and he comes. It is hilarious. It's like I once asked him. I said, "So you mean to tell me that you have figured out that pi is wrong? And by the way, we've had a reasonable idea of the value of pi for millennia now, and you're the only one that could possibly see that it's right." And he believes that he knows something that no one else has ever figured out in the history.
God.
Do you know what, Mike? I've heard that before myself. Like,
Oh, for the
somewhere.
love of... Oh,
Yeah.
I would love to see a
Pie's
computer animation. I would love to see a computer animation of what the world would look like right now, and it would have to, be some dramatic, crumble apart animation. If we had pi wrong, I would love to see what the world would look like.
The only time pie is wrong is when it's not baked properly.
That is true.
Yeah, I'll be fair. I thought I found the stupidest flat earther this week on what was it on? He was on the flat Earth tour. He was saying there's no tides in Jamaica, and that proves the flat Earth. And it's like, what? There are tides in Jamaica. You do know this. And he's like, no, I live in Jamaica and there's no tides. Like, go down to the beach.
There might not
No,
be
I
like
don't
the
have
sort of
time for
tides
that.
we
I'm
get
thinking-
in Bristol Channel, but which are like second biggest in the world, I think. But they have tides. Oh yes, fucking
Yeah, he was trying to
dumbass.
that little ebb and flow isn't a tide. It's not the moon pulling it. Like, at this point, I'm sure you are just a fucking troll in this chat. But he was blue. That was the worst thing. So obviously been there a few times.
Oh, where was this?
The Flat Earth Tour blinking page, and I also heard allegedly Dave was on today, going about Marco Polo said he saw the ancient Chinese emperors riding dinosaurs. And they were his exact words, apparently, even though dinosaur as a word didn't exist until, the 1800s? So, yeah.
Well,
Someone
Rider of
could
I know.
Dinosaurs,
their
you want to
backside.
speak to him about that?
Yeah, good one, Monkey. Good one. Speaking of good ones, Amy's got some good ones, I'm sure, from the viewers. Let's get Aimee in.
I do. I have some very good ones. I've got one from the Forever Learning. He says the History Channel turned Fantasy Channel. Unpaid Shills says maybe they're psychs that got their degree from the Fundamentalist University of Upper Quackistan. Demonic Davros says my 4-year-old just said not flat at the screen, and yeah. And this, Colin says, do real ancient aliens have their own YouTube with conspiracy theorists saying there's life on Earth with butts you can probe? And and Daniel Cooper says, did you guys ever see the stoners on Vice watch Ancient Aliens? And
oh no, I never did. Oh, somebody mark that down in the background so we can remember. Sorry, Aimee, keep going. We have to see that.
That's okay. Ugly German Truth says, I believe the History Channel is where the whole wrath of the feared Y2K virus has relieved its power on. It ended on warping the whole scheduling. And then Dark Knight Apologetic says, I bet you Pepperidge Farm remembers when the History Channel was still good. And he also says, the ancients were a lot smarter than we like to think they weren't. And Forever Learning says, I never got abducted. They only came to play poker, ruining my backyard with their landing birds. And my neighbors already complained about the noise.
I've said it before, but
memes. Oh, go on, Dick.
Oh, so no, take it, Barman.
I was just going to say, have we got to the point yet in memes because of its age when we can say even Pepperidge Farm's member Pepperidge Farm? Because that meme is goddamn old. My
That's
wife's
true.
looking at me like I'm crazy.
I think that's the kind of meme that was spreading on MySpace when it was in its infancy. That's how old it is. Dead Kennedy in Space.
Okay, first of all, an old meme comes from 4chan before they were called memes. I'm what excuse me, this is a slightly offensive term. I'm what they would call an ancient fag. Been there long time. But
love it.
See, now I got distracted by that, and I forgot what I was gonna. Right, this is for Barman.
Shit.
No, I remember now.
Dork.
This was a while ago. Somebody commented 3 words in the chat, and it was a very specific 3 words that needs to be read a very specific way, and I want to see if I can nail this voice. You rebel scum.
That was
oh. Okay, Dead Kennedy in Space is rapidly becoming the voice man. When we need somebody to nail something properly. Holy shit, man. I've got a list of things I could call you out to do now. This is excellent. It just keeps getting better. Oh, man, right on. Oh, you know what? I lost my train of thought. Somebody save me here. Jump in. Give me
Well,
some fucking love.
So
man,
far,
what's the
my
matter
favorite
with you? You've
comment
lost
came from Ash Scott. He was talking about, he or she was talking about glass being the best invention of all time, because people that drink beer out of cans would never have invented the wheel. I completely agree with Ash on that one.
Oh no, I think the
Good
people
point.
who drink beer out of cans would have invented the wheel first, because they would have watched their can roll down the hill. Said, do you know what? If we get a load of cans together, we can drag more cans up to the top of the hill.
Rockin'!
Did
That
you
is the
notice
one.
the ancient Incans didn't have beer and they didn't have wheels either? See, there's obviously a correlation there.
The wheel's shit
know what?
anyway.
I think you're on to something there. Absolutely, absolutely.
What, me? The wheel's shit.
Let's turn to a couple of more misconceptions within the opposition, we'll call them. Let's go to Blue here. When it comes to astronomical things that they call out 100% wrong, what are the? Oh shoot, hold on, let me read. Oh no, we've got Digital Demonic Davros saying with a super chat. Yeah, buddy, right on. Love you. Australian Deuce, thoughts on religion from the panel, please. Okay, that's where we're going right now.
Okay.
Who's got thoughts on maybe how and why religion started, or maybe thoughts on, the Christianity turn into religion as power and stuff? Who wants to go where? I bet we've got lots of opinions now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think religion was like an early sort of politics, if you like, in a way to sort of guide people and get people in line. That's what I think.
If you go back to really ancient settlements, there was one that was found a little while back. Not Gobekli Tempe, Chattelhoya, Chattelhoyuk or Chattelhoya, and they have a little civilization. It's kind of like a shanty town, everybody going in from the roofs and whatnot. And they found this woman buried holding a skull and stuff. And it seemed like there was a little bit of ancestor worship going on, I think was what the archaeologist had eventually settled on. But there was no evidence of temple, of military or nothing. It was just people living beside each other doing what they got to do. But then as you go forward and you get to like Gobekli Tempe, archaeologists are saying, they're showing signs of a religion here. This might have been like a place of prayer and stuff. And there seems to be a switch there. Anybody, any thoughts on that?
Oh, I don't know nothing about those temples.
No, I mean,
I pay attention to some of this kind of stuff, and some of the oldest, newest archaeological finds are showing not much evidence of like power and control, whereas it doesn't take too long before it kicks in. And there's definitely a case to be made that religion is the start of the power play, but I wonder if the power play doesn't start and religion is the way to take hold of it. That's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. I know it's ambiguous.
I know, ambiguous. I can see
right?
where you're coming from. That, like, have people like sort of said, well, it's because, as you say, or whether it was created to get that result.
Yeah, I think that religion basically started with man's first forays into science, trying to figure out what the world is, how does it work, how do I explain these things. I think the politics kind of came later.
I'm logical in that one.
Probably early on, yeah. But I think it was then certainly. I mean, I don't know. I'm just what I think, but it was certainly then used for that as an advantage.
Oh yeah, the mechanism was in place.
Absolutely. We just had a new subscriber, Yair Atlantis, has subscribed. Thank you very much. We're absolutely thrilled you've joined the party, and you'll be checking out episodes in the future with us. We should. Exactly. We should turn to Dead Kennedy in Space.
Sorry,
Monkey. Go ahead.
There is something for everyone. One of us lot on this chat, on this, the whole Shills. One of us Shills will please one of you. There's something for everyone here.
And we don't charge much. Just get a hold of us. We can hook up. No problem. I'm just kidding. Jesus Christ. Dead Ken. Oh, GPS just donated super chat $2. Search how to make vegan bacon using rice paper. I'm sorry, GPS. That is probably one of the funniest things. I will never search, and neither will Kevin Kennedy. As Canadians, we don't do vegan bacon, do we, buddy? Dead Kennedy in space.
Absolutely not. As far as religion goes, I wanted to kind of add my 2 cents. I think I'm kind of on logical side there. That I think initially it was largely just a way to explain things around us. Like it's argued that religion basically started with sun worship because, you know, there was this big ball of light in the sky that would allow us to see, and it would warm us, and then it would go away. And then, you know, maybe if we pray or make an offering or something, maybe it'll come back. Oh, it came back. All right, well, let's keep doing that then. I have a feeling that it kind of came together that way. But I think it's worth pointing out that the first scientists, back when science was called like natural philosophy, the first scientists were definitely religious. And that people in places of religious authority definitely had a place in early science. And at some point, a shift happened, and I'm not quite sure why or when. But we have more super chats, so I'll stop talking now.
Well, I'd like to just add to that. There's still scientists today that are the same. They believe in, you know, they're religious, believe in a God, and they do science, practice science.
Mm-hmm.
There's an excellent
Human Genome Project is religious.
Yeah. There's also an excellent episode of Morgan Freeman Through the Wormhole, where they do some tests on young children, and they test their core beliefs to see if they really believe things or not. It was fantastic. It was due to that was being done in the way of, you know, leading to religion and stuff. I should shut my mouth right now. And which one of our amazing panel would like to read a couple of super chats out?
Well,
Ed Kennedy.
Just a little shield money for the cause. $2. B-ball for life. Cheers, pal.
All right. B-ball for life is rocking it. And Dead Kennedy, you want to take that other one?
Sure. That was from John Rapp. Thanks very much, John, for the $2 Australian. He said, one man's religion is another man's belly laugh.
I love that. Oh yeah. Jeez, we get the best comments and stuff in. We have the best viewers, guys. This is fantastic. Blue. Thoughts on early religion and power struggles and stuff. Where do you fall on that?
I agree with pretty much what all you guys have been saying. But I do think it probably did start back with the sun worship and just trying to explain things away. And that's a really good point. I mean, the sun comes up, we're able to get warm and do things, and then it goes away. Well, maybe we better ask it to come back somehow or the other. And I think after a while, you just build an entire narrative around it, very much like the flat Earth is done around their nonsense. And then it comes, you know, and then oh, did I? Sorry.
Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, then comes that the inevitable human frailty, which is nobody wants to think one day you're just going to lay down, close your eyes, and nothing will ever happen after that. So, yeah, you know, that factors into it.
That leads towards the Vikings and their god Skrull, which was the god who made the sun disappear, you know, solar eclipse, right? So as Skrull would start to cross the sun, which was, you know, the shadow, they would start screaming and yelling, and eventually the shadow would go away. Hence, they did it, and then develops the belief, right? It's that simple.
Yep.
You know, absolutely. Barman, do you want to take that chat for us?
Oh, go on then. So we had a lovely £5 off John Watson. When do I get my Gatekeeper of the Truth badge? Spurs promised me one. Yeah, Spurs doesn't say much that's right, really.
Believe
And as
Spurs?
I'll read. Yeah, I think he means Spur Gizmo because he was in our,
Yes.
our server for a little while, wasn't he? So, yeah.
No, I said, but,
And then we got-
you believed him?
You got the
Spurs
snark
promised
as
you
well.
something?
The snark.
Spurs promised you something and you believed him.
Yeah.
The snark.
Oh, Monkey, you take
€2
it.
said, "I'd rather pay the shills than the church." Thanks, pal. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Nice one,
True
snarky boy.
words never spoken. I love the snark, man. You know where it's at. And speaking of where it's at, let's get to the rest of the viewers and see what Amy's got from them.
Yes, I've got some very good comments. Village Idiot says, Village Idiot Control says, gods were a way of explaining things that they couldn't explain. Those beliefs turned into religion. Mr. Victory says, that's a hard one. My idea is religion was started with cave paintings that humans, as a human's way to find a way to come together in groups for power. And then the Shills, Forever Learning says, religion developed from nature. People needed to explain the explainable. Then they learned more about the number of needed gods decreased. Eventually, the leftover amalgamated into one. And then Glober Mom says, religion in and of itself isn't bad. The people who use it to coerce and control are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
a good one.
That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's
yeah.
a good one. Now,
Yes.
our guest Mike has been just a little quiet on this one. Mike, early religion, power struggle, honest in its belief at first, where it led to, thoughts? What do you got?
Well, someone had brought up earlier about scientists and religion, and one of the things that I always find interesting is a lot of the globe deniers their beliefs are based in religion, and they hate, things like Einstein. He was a religious person, and
Very much.
And one of my favorite papers was written by a guy who's got a PhD from MIT in physics. He's also a theologically trained rabbi, and he wrote his paper on the age of the universe. And he actually takes Einstein's time dilation and fits it perfectly into the 6 days of creation. So
nice.
There is a lot out there that science and religion can cross over. You don't necessarily have to get rid of one or the other, even though some people want science to go away and some people don't.
I totally agree there, Mike. Like myself, I'm quite the Darwin fan. And, when they say the theory of evolution, it almost irks me because evolution was the last line in the paper. But evolution itself was a theory that said the entire race of humankind was in Eve's ovaries waiting to be expanded at the time of the origin of species, right? And it just got convoluted into, we call it the theory of evolution now. But if you read Darwin's paper, he does not take away a creator. He just says that there was, you can easily interpret that the creator gave the spark, and then evolution takes it from there and gives us what we got. There's absolute room for it, is there not?
Oh, absolutely. The physicist I was talking about, his name is Gerald Schroeder. And he even talks about how, I think if I remember correctly, I don't remember exactly where in the paper it is, but he talks about how Moses says you can see the fingerprints of God in the universe in one of two ways: to look at the phenomenon of the 6 days and all that stuff. And if that doesn't impress you, he says to look from the phenomenon of human history. Either way, you see the imprint of God. So even within the Bible itself, or the Torah, depending upon which version of Moses' books you look at, it still all goes hand in hand, whether you believe in religion or not. It's amazing how it can all fit together, and whether you don't have to believe in. We kind of have to believe in science because it is what it is. That is just concrete written in stone. Well, more like written in clay.
Yeah, because as the advancements come, we do have to, remold it now and then. Correct. Good analogy.
Yeah. And religion, well, that's just. Yeah, I don't think that is a reason to remove science from anything.
No, I agree. And like Michael Faraday, his faith was very important to him and so on. Some of the people that have given us some amazing advancements throughout the years, their faith was very important to them. And it didn't cross or conflict in any way. It just depends on how you're reading the scripture itself and, not being a moron about it. Right?
Well, the thing is,
yeah, Monkey.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with science is it is observable, repeatable, and demonstrable. Anyone at that level
falsifiable
can
falsifiable. Let's not forget.
But
that one.
you get like that idiot that we watched. Was it the last week? No, on Saturday night. And
oh God.
He was going on about Eratosthenes putting two sticks in the ground and then arguing that it couldn't be repeated or demonstrated or observed. It's like, what? You can't stick two sticks in the ground, mate.
Yeah, I mean, come on. How easy is that to repeat? We've been holding a few people at bay here. Dead Kennedy, jump in, brother.
I think it was Mike who was talking about the ways that that religion and science can work together. And before I get into it, because I'm going to quote you here, but I wanna let you know, Dark Knight Apologetics, you're gonna have a bad time with this, man. I see what you're doing, but it's not going to go well. Dark Knight Apologetics, he's a great guy. He is yes. He's a Christian, and he likes to use biblical proofs against flat Earth, which I find very interesting. But you got to remember, man, most of the debunking community is either atheistic or like a lot of them are almost hostile towards religion, and you're not going to have a good time with this. But he did make a very good point, as we were talking about religion and science working together. George Lemaitre was a Jesuit-trained Catholic priest, and he was the first to identify that the recession of nearby galaxies could be explained by an expanding universe.
Exactly.
Exactly. Full disclosure, I am a Christian, so.
And that's perfectly
fine. Yeah. No, my God, come on. That cheer was the perfect moment. That was amazing, great. Mike. How did you know that was going to happen?
That way.
That was awesome. But, let's face it. Somebody that respects the scientific method and understands the advancements that we've made, and in Mike's case, uses them on a daily basis to make a living and has faith at the same time, is the best person to have in this conversation. Come on. We've struck gold, right? Because, it shows that there is no conflict at all with a rational brain. And I've held him back so long, he's going to kick my ass. Barman, you're up.
I won't kick your ass. Don't worry. I know where you live. I can do much worse. What the hell was I going to say? When it comes to religion, my favorite sort of film that deals with religion would be Dogma. And one of the best lines from it, I think it's better to have ideas. You can change an idea. Changing a belief is trickier. People die for it and people kill for it. And that is probably quite true, really. People who take belief too seriously and go to the extremes, whether it be Christianity, Hinduism, freaking any religion, are just wrong. Just have the idea and take the nice things that come out of religion. Be nice to each other and generally don't be a cock.
But do you know what? Do you know what winds me up? It's when these globe denying fucktards turn around and say science is a belief, and it's like the fuck, and it has nothing to do with belief.
And like
belief.
Yes.
Sorry?
Okay, I'm going right to Mike, but like Barman said there, the religious texts of the predominant religions of our time have some really great life lessons to be taught in them. And if you take the good out of it, and then, which is a lot of it, there's nothing wrong with it in any way, shape, or form. The problem the debunking community has, in reference to Dead Kennedy in Space's comment there, is when it's used to when it's used as a proof for something it was never meant to be used for. That's when the full-on attack comes on, right? And speaking of full-on attack, I'm going to turn to Aimee from the comments, because there might be some good ones at this point in the discussion. Aimee?
There certainly are. They're very good comments. Unpaid Shill says, a theory isn't a wild guess as in colloquial usage. A theory is an overarching body of knowledge that encompasses and explains something to the best of our abilities. Stuck in Florida says, so we are God's chemistry experiment that went awry. Sean Carroll says, this is why I am philosophically agnostic. The question is not resolved one way or the other. And Forever Learning says, let's say God initiated the Big Bang and everything developed from that and have done with it. And Tim Gargak says,
there you go.
I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah.
Yep. Me too. And it says, Tim Gargak says, religion is also, in my opinion, was vital for establishing ideas of laws. That suggest we be civil to each other.
That's a good one.
Well, I want to push back on that a little and say that I don't think religion is required for morality, but historically it definitely did help.
Well, I tell you what, like my grandmother is, I've mentioned this a few times now, is a very strict Christian, but such a lovely woman, warm woman, forgiving, helpful woman. And when I used to go to church with her, and I was just surrounded by genuinely good people,
Well, I think you're right about that. It isn't required, but it definitely helps.
It was a warm feeling. Everyone was warm and welcoming, and just back then. I think. Now I think it's not so. Not certainly where I'm from. It's not so popular now. It's not such a big thing to go to church on a Sunday.
Well, that
Blue,
comment.
expand on that. Yeah.
Well, the comment that somebody made too about the Big Bang is, in my mind, a perfect point to bring science and religion together. If you want to do that, the two things are not mutually exclusive. But at the moment, we have no idea what banged or who banged it. Okay, so you can you can assign the responsibility for that any way you like. I don't see the conflict. I never have been able to see a conflict in it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, right? They talk about a multiverse being lots of universes. Perhaps it's just a seed God plants, and then pop, out we come.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I just got to jump in with the super chat here, guys. The snark, that looks like the euro $2 mark, if I'm right. Oh God,
it is
I hate trying to guess
it's
that.
€2.
Okay.
You fucking dork.
and he did a super chat scamble for 50. Oops, lost €2. But you didn't lose €2, Snark, because we're calling you out because you kick ass and take names. I love the Snark. He's awesome. Right on. Speaking of Big Bang, Blue, what your quote was so much almost perfect to Alan Goose in one show I saw. He says, we still don't know what banged, why it banged, or what happened before it banged. Like, and Michio Kaku, another real big hero kind of guy of mine, it's a misnomer because it wasn't big and there was no bang, right? So it's kind of funny, right? But it definitely, the creation story could fall into the Big Bang as easy as pie. Oh, yeah. And our number is correct, by the way.
Do you know what I like? You've obviously all seen Men in Black. At the end of the first one, when they're playing marbles.
Yes.
Yeah. That's just so awesome.
Just shows to show what we don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is a good one. Now, I think at this point we've been running just long enough that we should get around the table and do a little wrap up from everyone. And who should we call on first just to put him on the spot? I'm thinking we should call in Logical Troglodyte because I haven't heard from him a bit lately. And this must be right up your alley. You've got a few for us. Come on.
Yeah, well, how can I get a word in edgewise with you, Dick? I mean, come on, you are the mouth, right? But anyway, I appreciate it, and I really want to thank our guest for coming in tonight and giving us a great conversation. When it comes to religion and science, yeah, they're not mutually exclusive. My only problem with religion is the fundamentalist, whatever stripe they happen to be, who say that you can only believe this or else. And, you know, they don't seem to understand that science isn't even asking the question of God. It's just asking the question of how does the universe work and what's all in it. The conspiracy theorists who try to use religion to deny science, you know, and I've heard them say it multiple times. They're afraid we're trying to replace God or prove the non-existence of God, and we're not. Not at all. We're not even asking the question. You know, that's why me as an agnostic and Mike the engineer as a Christian can get along fine, and we can have wonderful conversations because we respect each other's beliefs enough to get past that and say, here's the nerd stuff we can dig our teeth into.
Exactly. That was perfect, Logical, because when you're actually critical thinking, all you're doing is critical thinking, and it doesn't even come up. And when you're sitting around in the pub having a beer with your friends and somebody goes, well, you know, because of this, well, you know, you go, hey, you know what? Not a bad point, because they're your friend, and you actually give them the time of day to listen.
Yeah.
Right?
When I think about it, if I presuppose that God did create me, well, he created my intellect too. I would be remiss in not using it to find out what more is there in the universe. To just turn my brain off and go backwards and deny that we've ever learned anything, I think would be the greatest sin, if you want to use the concept of sin.
There you go. Good one. Awesome. Logical. Great wrap up, man. I love it. And since we're in the bar, we better turn to the pub, keep it universal, and see what our unbelievable barman is up to over there. Thoughts, buddy?
Well, I'm going to go back to the ancient aliens and say, yeah, and how people say, we can't do that, we can't do this. It's all because of beer. Because anyone know, you get a group of lads drunk on a Friday night and tell them they've got a mission to do and they've got to do this, that, or the other. They will find a way. Never trust a group of 5 drunk blokes to not be able to get something out of a jar, get something up the stairs, move the entire furniture around as a practical joke because they've had too many drinks and think it'd be funny for the person who's passed out on the floor if they pile everything on top of him, but don't wake him up. Beer has progressed life to us building pyramids. It was probably a drunk dare one night saying, yeah, you know what, Pharaoh, I don't think you can build a gigantic pointy thing. And he's gone, yes, I can. No, you can't. Look, I've got all these people. They'll build it for me. And yeah. That's my wrap-up.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You know what? You just rewrote the script to the 10 Commandments and did it properly. Oh, that was awesome, man. That was awesome. And I think we better check in with our resident simian, Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey. Oi, fucking oi, buddy.
Yes,
How you feeling?
Fucking oi, bruv. I tell you what, we touched upon globe denial. I mean, these fucking idiots couldn't organise a blowjob in a Dutch brothel with a fucking pocket full of cash, mate. I mean, how the fuck they're the sperm that won, I don't know. And talking of globe denial, Mike Bertelson, nice to hear someone call it what it is. They are globe deniers. There is no such thing as flat earth, so they cannot be flat earthers. You're globe denying fucksticks. With religion, well, you know, as I said, my gran was religious. I never ever believed in God. But my problem with it is too many people die in the name of God.
Well, yeah, that was a point back in the day for sure. That is a good one we never touched, and maybe we'll save that for the next one. That's not bad, Monkey. Good one.
That's it.
I like it very much. I like it very much. And Dead Kennedy in Space, Kevin Kennedy, you've got some big wrap-up thoughts, I bet, on that one.
Well, to sum up my thoughts on religion, I cannot for the life of me remember who said this. I believe it was a writer. He said, is it not enough to look at a garden and see that it is beautiful without having to believe that there are fairies at the bottom as well? And that's kind of my thought on it. When it comes to religion, I'm agnostic myself. I think there's probably not a god as any religion defines it, but some sort of creator being, something that set off the Big Bang, maybe. Don't know. Don't really care, because I'm more interested with learning about the universe and what's going on within it. I think if there is any kind of creator, he put us here to do exactly that. That's all. Cough.
Well, I don't know where Dick's gone, but we will never know, will we, what is beyond the Big Bang? We won't.
Right. Did I drop there? Am I back? Am I back?
Yeah,
Am
I
I
went
good?
to answer that anyway. Like, don't think we will ever understand what was beyond the Big Bang. That's as far back as we can go. So we will never, ever know.
Well, there was no light before it, so that's going to be hard for sure. And speaking of going back and making sure, we should check in with Aimee Hogan and make sure that she's all caught up with what our amazing viewers have been saying.
Yes, I've got some good ones here too. Glober Mom says, this is really funny. She goes, obelisks were the very first dick pics. I love it. So we have some of that, and a lot of agreements with Dead Kennedy in Space. Hannah says, that's how I think about it. Smart dude for such a youngin', and happy birthday as well. So yeah, it's yes. So, and I want to thank everyone for coming today, and I want to thank all of our audience for coming and spending some time with us and everything. And thank you guys for having me on as well. I'm enjoying this so much. So,
Aimee, you've been awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get everybody. Let's get everybody in the chat right now to give a big thumbs up for Aimee for kicking absolute ass in the most shiltastic way possible. Let's see it for sure. And while we see that pop up, let's turn over
to another and film it and send you a private video, and I'll only wear pants.
Oh, Jesus.
So you're going to actually get dressed for once, Monkey?
Yeah, well, the neighbours are already complaining.
Where the hell did we just go? What happened there? Now let's turn to our producer, Tattie-Bogle, and see.
Fucking anywhere, pal.
Let's turn to our producer, Tattie-Bogle, and see what he's got going on. What did you think of that episode? That was some crazy crap. We have really covered the gambit, didn't we?
That has been an amazing episode, isn't it, man? Tell you, I've been spellbound from start to finish. It's just been fantastic to listen once again to Big Blue and to Mike Wax Lyrical. Been beautiful, man. And the shows, as always, spot on, man.
Right on. Well, come on. He's the guy with the producer's eye, so he must be right. Everybody. And let me encourage everybody to click that like button too. We don't usually say that much live, but what the hell? We might as well. Now, Mike Bertelson, how are you feeling about tonight's conversation? Wrap up thoughts for you?
It was a really good conversation. I do have to say though that all those globe deniers and all those science deniers and everything, and all the deniers of ancient engineering, they're really denying the ingenuity of the human mind and our potential. And it's a shame that they don't see just how special what we do and what we can do is.
Here.
That's well said. Well said. And
absolutely.
I think those are
ridicules
perfect
mankind
words.
And where the fact that we've got to where we are. I mean, how the fuck have they got a phone in their hand if we couldn't work out problems back then? You know, that's what I don't get. They deny all that ancient technology, which really is very simple technology to the technology we got now. But that's fine.
Yeah, it's a shame because the stuff they deny, well, they wouldn't be on YouTube without it. And speaking of on YouTube, let's turn to the man who easily outclasses me with the absolute cool voice. Big Blue, what do you think of tonight? What do you think of that? You know, we covered some good stuff. Wrap-up thoughts?
It was a great show, Dick. To follow up on what Mike was saying, to the globe deniers out there, believe me, we have come way too far to go back at this point. And I think it's a shame that that they want to look at it and try to take us many steps back into the past. I've been trying to figure out if there's any religion out there that says gravity doesn't exist, and I don't believe there is one. By the same token, I'm positive that Einstein never said there is no God. The real problem here is, what if we don't know the correct value of pi? We're going to have to work on that one, buddy.
Absolutely.
That is a major friggin' issue. It was defined as the circumference divided by the diameter. Holy crap, if we got that wrong, we got a lot of problems. And that's pretty much it.
Triangles actually equate to 137 degrees.
Oh shit, we're screwed.
I'm telling you now, I fucking know. I don't care what you say, I fucking know it.
I love it. Well, have I missed anybody? Anybody want to jump in before I close this down? Last minute.
Except fucking loved it, man. Thank you everyone for coming. You all absolutely rock. The Shills are rock and roll. The guests, love you, man.
Guys.
And everyone that's watching and any globe denying fucktards, thanks for coming along.
Guys,
Kennedy?
we left out Mike.
What about Mike?
No, you didn't.
Did we not?
Kevin, you absolute dork. Yeah, right. I mean, when Blue John jumped on, he said, "I'd like to expand on what Mike said." For Christ's sake, you've been listening.
Oops.
Well, Kevin, but Dead Kennedy lives in Canada, so there was probably a little bubbly sound that we couldn't hear that was being muted in the background. So we'll just leave it at that and let him go.
You mean we got to shut the stream down? I think that calls for no.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, what do we say to pseudoscience in general? Let's hear the Del Cows. No. All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think this episode of Pub Chat has come to a close because when we're resorted to Dell, we got nothing left. So let me tell you straight off the bat, ladies and gentlemen, flat Earth is a disease and you've got to get yourself inoculated because it could save your life. Get yourself down to a library and read a book. All it takes. Learn something new every day and guaranteed you'll never fall into that fallacious bullshit. What can I say, folks? We are the Shills. That was Pub Chat. I'd like to have a huge thank you to Blue Marble Science and Mike Bertelson for joining us for an amazing episode. And that's that, ladies and gentlemen. We're out of here. Say bye, folks. Goodbye.
Catch you on the flip side.